Hello and welcome once again to this webinar from the Shadan Institute of Medical Sciences. I'm Sushil Bhakinathan, the Dean. This whole series of webinars has been planned by our Managing Director, Dr. Sarib Rasool Khan, with the idea that our doctors can get educated, and not only them but also their families, their friends, and the public at large. Also, there must be a lot of myths floating around thanks to the University of Google, and I hope that these series of webinars will serve to educate everyone about the actual disease and the effects. Today, the webinar is planned on the COVID-19 impact on pregnant women. In fact, there's one area where there's no effect, and that is on the number of babies being born. And I dare say there may be a number of babies being born must have even increased because a lot of couples have to stay at home with this lockdown. When these pregnant women go for their antenatal checkups, that's where there's a chance that they may catch the virus. Also, somebody might bring the virus home where they are. And therefore, this whole series of webinars, I hope you'll all be benefited. We have a lot of our faculty who are going to take part, so sit back and relax and enjoy the webinar. But meanwhile, stay safe and take your jab if you haven't done one already.
Honorable Managing Director, Shadan Institute of Medical Sciences, Dr. Mohammad Sarib Rasool Khan, Dr. Roya Rosati, our panelists, and all the participants, a very good morning to you all. We know COVID is affecting people of all ages and groups, including pregnant women. They are losing their lives before they can create one, and there are two lives at risk in a pregnant woman, one of the mother and the baby she is nurturing inside. It's even more important that we take care of them. That's why our today's session is aptly titled Care of Pregnant Women in COVID-19. I welcome you all to this webinar organized by the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Shadan Institute of Medical Sciences. Before we get started, I take immense pleasure to introduce our moderator for today's event. She is none other than Dr. Roya Rosati, Head of Department Obs and Gynac, Telangana State Secretary of IFS, and a doctor with many feathers in her cap. To name a few, Dr. Roya Rosati is an AIIMS alumni in Masters of Obs and Gynac. She is also a Fellow of Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, London. She is a Professor and Chief for Department of Obs and Gynac, Shadan Institute of Medical Sciences, Director, Maternal Health and Research Institute, Banjara Hills, Hyderabad, Convener and Task Force Member for MCI Committee for setting up rules and guidelines for MCH in reproductive medicine. Task Force members of ICI, ICMR of many projects. IFS Chapter Secretary Telangana, Convener of SIG Endometriosis IFS, recipient of Mridula Kamboj Award and Best Chapter Secretary.
A very good morning to one and all. My greetings to the Managing Director of Shadan Group of Hospitals and the whole team who have organized this type of webinar activities on COVID-19. Also, my greeting to the viewers of this channel who are going to get benefited a lot from the question and answers which are going to be asked in this panel discussion. We are staying and living in an era of a darkness where we are facing a severe pandemic, where we are having a lot of loss of lives of our precious friends and loss of economy, where we all have got few and maybe many questions where it is not being answered. That is why we organize this type of program from our college, Postgraduate Institute of Shadan, to answer some of the questions where maybe the answers also will be modified in future because still not much data available, not much research available. It just maybe 1 year, 2 months it's been passed from the time this pandemic started. And we have a panel discussion on the management and the care of a pregnant woman with COVID-19 infection. And today we have our Dr. Manisha Jain, who is our associate professor at SIMS, and Dr. Farina, also associate professor in Shadon in our department, OBG, who are going to answer a few questions what I'm going to put in front of them. My first question goes to Dr. Manisha. How much percentage of pregnant women are being affected by COVID-19 according to the literature?
According to a study which is done by CDC, they have studied the total number of the women infected. In that, they have found that the pregnant women incidence is 5.8%. And according to a cohort analysis which have been done, it has been proved that pregnancy is a high risk group. Due to its, it is more vulnerable to the respiratory infection because of its decreased lung capacity, and being a pregnancy is an immunosuppressive condition. So, though the chances of getting the infection is equal to the general population, but the chances of occurring the complications were more in them. Then we have seen that the pregnant women require 62% more chances of admission to the intensive care units, and they are at high risk of about almost 88% higher risk for getting the invasive type of mechanical ventilation.
Very good.
Almost one of the study have suggested they are pregnant women are 20% more likely to die due to the infection.
Thank you. My second question goes to Dr. Farina. What is the impact of the COVID-19 infection on the pregnant woman?
Pregnant women do not appear likely to contract the infections in the general population. Large majority of the pregnant women will present with mild to moderate symptoms like headache, fever, loss of sense of smell, loss of sense of taste. And pregnant women with medical complications like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease complicating pregnancy are prone for severe form of COVID pneumonia. Unlike the SARS and the MERS viruses, which are associated with miscarriages, intrauterine fetal death, intrauterine growth retardation, the COVID pneumonia women follow this clinical pattern same as of the non-pregnant women. COVID-19 pandemic increases the risk of perinatal anxiety, depression, domestic violence, and preterm births.
Thank you. This question goes to you. And how does it affect the fetus, COVID-19 infection?
Until now, though too much studies have not been done, but whatever the preliminary research have done, they suggest that there is no transmission of the infection from mother to
Vertical
the
transmission
fetus.
is
That
not
is, the
there.
vertical transmission is very rare.
1 to 2%.
1 to 2% only, and no studies or no trials have proved there any increased chances of the miscarriages or the loss of the early loss of the pregnancy. The virus has not been known to cause any teratogenic effect, and even the COVID as such is not in direct indication for MTP, medical termination of pregnancy, though we have to individualize the cases.
We have to individualize.
Depending upon the condition of the patient. If they are serious and they are on ventilation, then we have to suggest them termination. Only some cases of prematurity and stillbirth though have been detected and found out.
Thank you. How do you manage a pregnant woman during antenatal period, during labor, during postpartum with COVID infection?
The antenatal checkups have been minimized to 12 weeks, 20 weeks, 28 weeks, and 36 weeks. During the pregnancy period, if the woman comes in contact with a COVID positive patient, then she should undergo a thorough clinical examination and RT-PCR testing. And in the clinical examination, if she is asymptomatic, she has to stay at home and wait for the RT-PCR test. And if the RT-PCR test comes negative, well and good, she is not infected. If the RT-PCR test is positive and she is asymptomatic, she can undergo home isolation, during which online consultation can be given to such patients. If the woman is symptomatic and she is waiting for the RT-PCR report, then it is better she gets hospitalized. And during this time, the hospital staff should wear the PPE kits. And if the RT-PCR test is negative, then she has to take home isolation for 14 days. If the symptoms subsides, well and good. If they don't subside, then she has to retest herself again with RT-PCR.
Do you advocate any medication during antenatal
Depending
period?
upon the symptoms, she can take the medications. and she can take aspirin
Low-dose
and
aspirin,
steroids and also broad-spectrum antibiotics to prevent a secondary infection. And if the woman is positive and symptomatic, that is RT-PCR positive and symptomatic, then she should take and then she should be given a tertiary care center with management. And during intrapartum period, the woman should be given an isolation room and her respiratory rate, oxygen saturation, temperature should be monitored. Fetal monitoring should be carried by the CTG. Once she sets into labor, the oxygen saturation should be maintained above 94 and any type of anesthesia can be given to the patient. There is no contraindication for the anesthesia. Both spalin and epidural are indicated. It is better if she takes an epidural anesthesia because if she lands up in an emergency, we can hear about the general anesthesia. And coming to the mode of the delivery, she can opt any mode of delivery. It should not be based on the COVID symptoms, and it should be mainly on the severity of the disease and the obstetric causes. And if she opts for the vaginal delivery, the second stage can be cut short by an instrumental delivery.
I think it is not a little bit, your statement should be modified, where we must mention that the mode of delivery mainly depends on the severity of the infection. If she is severe, there is no doubt operative delivery is a must. So this question goes to you. What are the indications for hospitalization and the ventilation?
As we know, the pregnant women are at a higher risk of getting to the ICU admissions, almost about 1.5 times higher risk. So the criteria which has to be taken are any patient who is having the respiratory rate, dyspnea or the respiratory rate more than 30 times, and even the oxygen saturation which is less than 90%. Or we have to monitor them from about 94 to 90% also, but definitely below 90% they require admission. Then pregnancy which are complicated by medical conditions like COPDs, diabetes,
cardiac disease,
malignancies, even heart disease, obesity, and the pregnant patient who have undergone some solid organ transplantation, the pregnant patient who are on immunosuppressive therapies, even some possible cause like asthma also,
yes,
they need the cerebrovascular diseases. So the who are at risk, we have to, they may need
hospitalization. Yes. Which mode of delivery? Just now you were mentioning about that. Is there anything in the literature which says that yes, this is a guideline, that cesarean is a must, or normal delivery, this is for the mild cases must? Is there anything in the literature
The
that
mode
help
of
us?
the birth should be individualized and based on the severity of the disease and the obstetric indication. WHO advises that cesarean section should be performed only if it is medically indicated.
Right. What is the literature talking about the incidence and the prevalence of the premature delivery and other prenatal problem in the fetus and the baby?
Yeah, madam. One large study has been done in UK, which suggests that when the coronavirus happened around the time of the birth, it increases the chances of premature birth or the prematurity and the stillbirth. Although their overall risk remains low, but the chances are more definitely in the COVID patient. In a study by CDC, they have also noticed that 12.6% of the premature birth is there in the positive patient, which is 25% higher than the negative patient.
So definitely incidence and the prevalence of preterm labor and prematurity is higher in COVID infected patient compared to the normal antenatal group of patients. The reason are two.
Yeah, madam.
One is
little more studies are required. Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely is more, but we don't know what is the actual percentage.
Yeah, some maybe because of the medical condition associated or other etiogenic causes may be responsible. So little large studies are more required.
Maybe in future we have a data, more data. But one thing is there that we should remember, there are two reasons for having a higher incidence of premature delivery in COVID infected patients. One is because of iatrogenic, where we do cesarean because the mother condition is bad and she is in a severe case of a COVID. And the second reason could be because of the infection itself, where it causes premature. Where do you advise and advocate for a postnatal, post-delivery mother for the baby? Do you advise and do you think permission to be given for the lactation?
So mother can be given two options after counseling with the mother. The options are temporary separation and rooming in. Temporary separation is like separating the baby from the mother till the viral shedding is lowered, and during this period the mother can express the breast milk and which can be given to the baby. Decision to discontinue the temporary separation should be made case to case basis, taking into account the signs, symptoms and also the lab findings. Rooming in, this is the method which most of the Indian women opt for. To reduce the exposure of the neonate to the ill mother, certain precautions have to be followed, like maintaining a physical barrier like a curtain and keeping the baby away almost more than 6 feet away from the mother. And whenever the mother wants to handle the baby, she has to follow the hand hygiene and wear a face mask. Similarly, whenever she wants to breastfeed her baby, she has to first follow the hand hygiene and wear a mask.
Well, so, what do you advise about the vaccination for a pregnant woman?
Until now, the various stages of trial of the COVID-19 vaccine done all over the world, they have not included the pregnant women. But the prominent organizations like FOXY and FIGO, they have recommended vaccination for the pregnant women and the lactating women, madam.
Not recommended. They have given the permission that if she is willing to do that, she can take it. That is a different, not recommend, because it is a choice. You cannot force a pregnant or any individual to take a vaccine. Of course, it's becoming an international law.
Just
Then
we can
you can just
tell
give
them
permission.
about the
Yes, this is permissible.
we
And
can
not
tell
even-
them about the benefits, that how it is vaccine has will be protecting them from the severe complications that they may incur from the infection.
a little bit that need this discussion and the debate,
Yeah.
because it is not during pregnancy, particularly in the first trimester, the vaccine to be avoided, because
Yeah.
we don't know. We don't know many things, because after 20 years, if the baby is being born with the azoospermia or with the teratoma, then maybe is it the effect of the virus? We don't know.
Yeah,
So
it is
as an obstetrician, we have to give the best thing to the baby, to the mother and the baby. And in the first trimester, as such, we do not give anything except folic acid. That rule has to be followed.
Yeah.
This
Definitely
question-
we need more trials, madam.
More try. This question got to you. And which vaccine do you recommend to our pregnant woman?
Any vaccine that is available, which is being approved by the government of India and WHO, can be taken by the women.
Again, this question just now we were discussing about the trimester. Do you advise in the third trimester, second trimester, which trimester?
Yeah, ma'am. A pregnant woman can take vaccine more safely in the second trimester or the third trimester. Better they should avoid taking that in the first trimester, because now the data has not been sufficient to recommend that, madam.
Yes, yes. What are the side effects or not to happen for pregnant woman if she takes the vaccine?
The side effects are same as for the general population, like the nausea, vomiting, headache, fever, which are easily treatable.
Yes, that's right. And when the woman is lactating and she is breastfeeding, do you advocate and do you think that vaccination can be permissible? What are your views on
Yes, madam. Breastfeeding mother can take, because no study as far has proved any harm to the mother or the child because of the breast milk.
Yes.
It has not been detected in the virus has not been detected in the.
After how many days of delivery or cesarean, do you advise that yes, she can take the vaccine, she is free of the problem?
So first she can go home, relax, and and wait for 1 to 2 weeks by the time the wound heals, and then she can take the vaccine.
One question is there which is not pertaining to the antenatal patient, but it is on the IVF and infertility. If a woman undergoing IVF procedure, because I'm sure there are so many viewers and everybody is interested to know if the woman is undergoing any ART procedure, can she take the vaccine?
Yeah, definitely, madam. A woman at any stage of the IVF procedure can take the vaccination, because the vaccine does not affect the procedure in any way. So whatever treatment, which type of treatment she is taking, she can take the vaccination.
Yes, thank you. If the woman has been suffering from COVID infection, when do you advise her to take the vaccine? How many days gap?
After a gap of 3 months or 90 days.
90 days gap should be there. Any reason? for 90 days. Yeah.
Almost the antibodies will whatever.
I have one thing
infection-
in mind where I have not read this. I think if she has been suffering from the COVID, whether anything is there still left where can be activated, we don't know. Maybe it's because of that, or what is the reason. Then we have to just seek the literature and then give it better
Yeah.
answer. And thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, for inviting us. It's a very nice debate discussion. Good question and answer, and I hope I meet you again in near future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with those amazing talks and enlightening discussion, our today's session comes to a close. It's my honor and privilege to be presenting the vote of thanks to the Honorable Managing Director, Dr. Mohammad Sarab Rasool Khan, our moderator for the event, Dr. Roya Rosati, panelists, and all the participants. I, Dr. Humaira Minhaj, on behalf of Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Shadan Institute of Medical Sciences, express heartfelt gratitude to all the delegates of the webinar for their presence and contribution to make this exemplary. Thank you for inspiring and encouraging us with your words on this special day. I wholeheartedly thank Dr. Sarab Rasool Khan, Managing Director, Shadan Institute of Medical Sciences, for providing support to make this webinar successful. Last but not the least, without the support and diligence of our organizing team who have been working really hard over the last few days to make this a successful webinar and event. Thank you everyone. Once again, stay safe. We are providing a helpline number 7989241139. Please reach out to the doctors on this number from Monday to Saturday 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thank you.